Hey everybody, thanks for coming. We've got Matt Van Horn and Steve Drucker here. We're going to talk about the future of cooking devices. My name is Joe Ray. I'll be your moderator today. I am a kitchen product reviewer for Wired, and I'm going to start it off by letting these guys talk very briefly about themselves, and then Steve's going to give a little presentation, and then we're going to do a Q&A for quite a while. Not that long. Go ahead, Matt.
Hi, my name is Matt. I'm one of the co-founders of June. At June, our first product is shipping now, a 7-in-1 countertop oven with a camera in the top where we recognize most commonly cooked foods and we'll cook them perfectly. And we'll actually make you a s'more or a steak right over there, so please stop on by.
Hello, my name's Steve Drucker. I'm the inventor of TrueCook Plus, which is software, seminal software for expert cooking intelligence for microwave food and ovens, embedded in over 2 million microwave ovens from LG and Kenmore, and endorsed by the National Frozen and Refrigerated Food Association. I have over 30 patents around the world in expert cooking intelligence, and they've been cited by over 120 other patents. I'm here today to talk about some developments in 21st century microwave ovens and what it means for the smart kitchen space and why microwave ovens, boring, commoditized microwave ovens, are in fact the smart kitchen Trojan horse. When the first microprocessor joined up with the magnetron oven, their immediate offspring was the hunt for the holy grail. Push button, get food. If you take a look at microwave oven presets, research we did several years ago says that 77% of consumers never use microwave presets. Why? They don't work. But microwaves, nevertheless, are at the center of the kitchen. Over 80% of respondents use the oven more than 5 times a week. When I was talking yesterday to everybody and his brother-in-law about microwave ovens, the reaction I got was really strong. It was like, whoa, these are important. Let's take a look at why they're important market-wise. Consumer packaged goods, microwave foods are a $22 billion annual market. About 15% of that revenue goes to advertising and promotion. And of that advertising and promotion, $3 billion, 85% goes in the form of price incentives to supermarkets. The rest goes for coupons and advertising. The ovens themselves, 14 million a year, are about a $2 billion market. Let's take a look at what's changing, why this is important. In the 20th century, microwave ovens were very imprecise. They were stacks of discs, they rotate, they vibrate, and you never can tell exactly what's going to come out, and that's why presets don't work. You can think of it like a slinky. But now, just like the cell phone in your pocket, microwave ovens are shortly going to transition to solid-state ovens, RF ovens. How important is this? Less than 100 days ago, at the annual symposium of the International Microwave Power Institute, I proposed that we create a tagging language, an open source tagging language, to completely describe the microwave cooking characteristics of anything you put into an RF oven. This was pretty radical for IMPI. But in 5 minutes, Nestle, Conagra, Tyson, and Campbell's all present, and NXP, the chip manufacturer, and Washington State University School of Food Science all signed on to this initiative. It took the Board of Governors of IMPI about 90 days to come to grips that they're going to do something new. This is moving forward. Next month in Turbo Chef in Dallas, the first initiatives are being reified, being made concrete. So what does this mean for RF ovens? It means that an RF oven now can cook everything perfectly because it's going to know what's inside the oven. Not only that, because it knows what's inside the oven, it's going to get smarter the more you use it. And that, I think, is what unites Matt and myself, because we are dedicated to appliances that are truly smart because they learn. we call our technology Infinity, infinityoven.com, Infinity Inside, and we always know what's cooking. So you probably have 3 questions. Do I need a new oven? Yep, you need a new oven. When can I get it, and how much is it going to cost? But before we get to that point, let's take a look at the metrics that are going to guarantee that you're going to be able to find these ovens on the shelves. For a connected appliance, those metrics are 4. They're likability, buzzworthiness, functionality, and value. And if you can get attitudinal responses of 65% for each of these metrics, I guarantee you 2 things. You're going to get slots at a retailer, and you're going to move a lot of boxes. Now, there's some problems here. The first one is, what really succeeds today is mass customization, AKA 87,000 ways to get your coffee. How do you mass customize a microwave oven? The answer is by giving it a personality, a personalized view of what you eat, so that the oven itself, with no buttons, just putting in the food product and pressing start, can make recommendations to you from 2 vectors. The first vector is the artificial intelligence that we bring to the table about, if you ate this, you're going to like that. And the second is a wiki vector, your cohort of people who liked what you liked, also like this. Very familiar. We see this all the time. Okay, how about cost? Okay, we're talking about a solid-state oven, not a microwave anymore. We have to give it a new name. Consumer messaging is very important. And cost. Well, this is a graphic of Moore's Law and the fact that chips always go down in price. So I promise you they always go down in price. So we're going to rely on that. The next thing we're going to look at is how long is it going to take to get to a price that we can move some product. What's the price? Today the oven's $6,000. You can't move any of these ovens at $6,000. However, the consumer value proposition is very strong. Push button, get food, comes out perfect. It is the holy grail. If we look at the time of adoption for the internet and the cell phone versus the refrigerator and electricity, this is not far away. That's why we're here today talking about it. From the perspective of mass customization, this is consumer packaged goods' greatest opportunity of the 21st century. How can you mass customize a $10 million frozen food SKU, a tray of Stouffer's mac and cheese, a fried chicken dinner? The answer is by personalizing the experience and what's recommended to the consumer. So if you're a CPG company, this is the greatest opportunity that you've had in generations. We call it data with benefits. If your product is being enjoyed and you can recommend other products from your advertising and promotion budget, all of a sudden you have the opportunity to validate every dollar that you're spending on promotion. Here's the wrap-up in under 10 minutes. What's changing? Inside the Trojan horse, food is the content. Ovens are the hardware, and Infinity Inside is the platform. Another way to look at this is that the consumers get the holy grail, food cooked perfectly, and CPG companies get 3D data analytics, which we call data with benefits. If you're a CPG company, you want a seat at the table. What's the timeline horizon? Not 24 months, but 36 to 48, highly likely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. All right, I'm going to kick off questions. I'm going to start with Matt, and I'd love for you to talk about let's start with how technology can make a home kitchen better.
So one of the core guiding principles and one of the things that we are obsessed with at June is one very simple thing. All that matters is great food, period. So we can add all the bells and whistles, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, connectivity, prediction algorithms, and if we mess that one thing up, if we don't yield great food, then we've completely failed. And so everything that we do, all the intelligence features that we have, every cook program, when we have a professional chef that's taught the oven to think like a chef, like our steak program, we start with a convection roast, then we move to a high-power broil, then we do a rest step in the middle of cooking, similar to what a yakiniku chef will do in Japan, and we emulate that in software, all at the same time while predicting how long it's going to take. But if that first bite isn't great, then we have failed.
And what do you do? How do you make the content great? How do you make sure you have an excellent recipe? How much money are you spending to make sure that each recipe is excellent?
So when Nikhil and I started this company about 6 years ago, we were talking about sensors and intelligence, and everyone looked at us like what are you talking about? And for us, it's how can we gather as much data as possible to learn as much as possible about food to try and guarantee results and success. So when you cook a steak in the June oven or a piece of salmon or a whole chicken, whether it's your first time cooking a steak in your life or your 100th time cooking a steak in your life, the result is going to be the same every single time. And by using sensors, intelligence, data, and being able to learn from our customers that opt to share their data with us, and by being able to work with our customers that literally will sad face their bad foods. Like literally, if you have a bad cooking experience in the June, you hit the sad face button and you talk about what went wrong. Was my food overcooked? Was it very undercooked? One of the biggest, honestly, disasters in company history was a problem we had with bacon. So when we launched originally, we had a one-size-fits-all bacon program. And with that bacon program, we weren't controlling any variables. It was a very, very simple program. And so people were saying, you burnt my bacon is undercooked, you suck, I want to return my oven, I thought this was supposed to be the magic oven. And what's amazing is we have all the video logs of all the pieces of bacon cooked in all the June ovens. We have all the sensor data from all the bacon cooked in all the June ovens. And so our engineering team and our culinary team was able to come together and say, how do we solve the bacon problem?
Please. So what actually happened to make you realize you have this problem? How do you make perfect bacon? Do you bring in a chef? Do you bring in a programmer? How does that work?
Yeah, so we're a small team of people. We're about 53, I believe, right now in San Francisco. And we have a lot of, honestly, 2x2 teams within the company. 2 mechanical engineers, 2 embedded engineers, et cetera. Our culinary team that's working on cook programs, 2 people. And so we bring together the relevant groups and say, how do we solve this? So it was kind of orchestrated between our hardware team, our software team, and our culinary team to figure out how do we solve the bacon program. And so what we weren't thinking of was actually the most important variable is actually number of slices. Because you can't probe a piece of bacon, it's too thin. We don't have that internal temperature data. And so we have to rely on other sensors. And so 1 slice of bacon versus 9 slices of bacon is a completely different cook program. And we were already doing this for toast. We were counting slices of toast and modifying the toast program as a result. And so we ended up creating, instead of 1 bacon program, 64 bacon programs. But choosing from a list of 64 is a terrible user experience. And so how do we use technology to simplify that? And so then we brought in our machine intelligence team and say, okay, can we count number of slices of bacon and automatically pre-fill that field? Can we remember preference? Now we've added preference, chewy versus crispy. Is it a thin cut or a thick cut? And are you using tinfoil or not, which will change it. And so we pre-fill those fields as best we can and remember your preference from last time. So now, literally, when I cook bacon at home, whether I'm cooking 2 slices, 8 slices, I just put it in, hit start, and walk away. And we don't get complaints about bacon anymore.
And so if it's my bacon, am I giving it inputs and then it's realizing like, oh, okay, Joe tends to use thick bacon. He tends to like it a little crispier than most people, and he likes it a little chewy, and that gives us enough data to change the way it cooks?
Yeah, so we have 64 ways, and there are many different preferences and things that you can specify, or things we do automatically to decide which of those 64 options we would choose.
So it kind of winnows those down for me, and it makes it feel like it's me just pressing a button eventually.
Yes.
That's great. How does AI improve cooking? And I think you can both speak to this, but Matt, why don't you start since you've got the mic?
Sure. So one of our most popular intelligence features is our food recognition feature. And what's interesting, when we first launched, we didn't have that many cook programs. I think when I got my first cook programs in my June, in one of the early alpha stages, I think maybe there were like 5 cook programs. So it actually wasn't that hard to go on the list, forget the food recognition, just go click cook programs, bacon, done. It wasn't that hard. But if you think about it, we have hundreds of cook programs now from you can, what's it called, air boil hard-cooked eggs in the June now. You can do eggs in a hole. You can do duck breasts. We have hundreds of cook programs. And it was interesting. I was giving a demo earlier today, and someone's like, oh, do you have search on the oven? I said, we don't need search. I have the best search engine in the world. We have a camera inside. And so now with our hundreds of cook programs, being able to recognize most commonly cooked foods and being able to shortcut a link to cook that food perfectly, it's just this instant experience, and it's just becomes so easy where you don't have to search, you don't have to think it, you don't have to look at the timetables like, oh, okay, what's medium pork again? What's that internal temperature? And so we just make it dead simple.
And do your response is making me think that of something we saw earlier today. Do people really, how many recipes do people actually use? I mean, you have hundreds of options. Do you find that people are constantly cooking the same 7 or 8 recipes, or are they using your oven to branch out a little bit and do stuff that's out of their comfort zone?
I would say it's a mix. When people first get it, usually they'll start by doing toast. That's kind of like the thing. They're like, oh, look, I can toast in this thing. And it recognized my wheat bread versus my white bread. So that's usually one of the first things that people use. But then what's interesting is in the early days, people used to bake, roast, etc., more than they would choose the cook programs in the early days of the June oven. But as people learn to trust the computer and trust the oven, they become more hooked on the cook programs. And so people don't like bake at 350 to cook their bacon. They use the bacon program because we've done a really nice job of creating this automated chef-trained cook program that's going to cook your food the way you like it. And so what's really powerful is people are able to trust the oven and try new things. So we know what the most popular foods are for customers that share their data with us. So on weeknight dinners, we're solving them a lot. So you do salmon, 9 minutes, no preheat. You're able to do a whole chicken, about 45 minutes to an hour, no preheat. Chicken breast, 9 minutes, no preheat. The demo we're doing with steaks, 14 minutes, medium rare steak, no preheat. And it's really powerful to just be able to trust and understand and start to get to know that people start being inspired. I remember my wife, before we had the June, didn't cook much. I've always been the cook in the home. And I remember I got a notification on my phone that she was making kale chips. And I was just like, Lauren knows how to make kale chips?
There's an intruder in my home.
And I was like, honey, how did you know how to do it? She's like, I don't know. I just put kale in and added olive oil, and it was good. And now my daughters eat kale chips, which is amazing as a result of that. And so I think that our customers are just more willing to experiment and try new things because they know that they can get consistent results on a regular basis.
Great. Steve, what about you? How does AI help us in a microwave, especially V2?
AI recommends products you're going to like. The vision of push button get food is the vision that as much as we love to cook, as much as cooking makes us feel connected and whole and part of everybody who's going to eat what we cook, we have an unrequited urge for push button get food. And
so does that mean we lose the popcorn button, we lose the add 30 seconds button, we lose all these things, and all we get is one button which does everything just the way we want it?
That's right. It comes out perfect. If we know what's in the oven, I guarantee it's going to come out perfect. Why is that? Well, let's say that you buy a frozen product that has salmon, that has mashed potatoes, very difficult to cook and formulate for a microwave oven, believe it or not, and has spinach with garlic. It's not a bad dinner. Or even roasted potatoes with the spinach with garlic and salmon. I'm kind of liking this. Joe, you're half a chef. You understand why. I think the three of
Only
us
half.
have that in common, that we're the cooks in our house. In a solid state oven, that's going to come out perfectly. How much of your time did that take? Well, the groceries were ordered through your app. They were there. You put it in the oven, you close the door, and you press start. And you went and did 4 other things that said it'll take 12 minutes. Not 5 minutes, like if you just left it on high and, zap the heck out of it, and then it comes out perfect. And that's artificial intelligence.
And will there be adjustments for, hey, I'm really busy and I just need to eat as fast as I can, or, okay, let's take a little more time and cook this a little better?
Why not? We're not the cooking Nazis. We're not the microwave Nazis. Why can't it be flexible? Why can't it say, okay.
But it would be able to adapt.
It'll be adaptable and personalized to your needs, without a doubt.
Matt, June is one of the few places. Lisa, I remember you guys were a fan of the June, yes? Good. That really seems to be getting it right in the smart kitchen. What are you doing differently that you think your competitors might not be? How are you nailing it when other people aren't?
But I just want to give a shout out to Lisa, who it was interesting. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Lisa and her work, but someone on our culinary team, when that review came out, sent a Slack message to the whole company, and they were like, "This is the culinary legitimacy that we've never had. We
That's the
finally
thing you
have
frame.
it. OMG," which was really, really exciting. But I think it's just our maniacal focus on great food and the best experience to getting there.
Why is that so difficult for your competitors to figure out, or people in other parts of the smart kitchen?
Sure. Why does an iPhone often feel better than a different type of phone? Or why does driving a certain car feel better than driving another sort of car? I think it's hundreds and thousands of little decisions that make up the total sum of what something is that is a good product. And I think that...
Let me just jump in. And this is kudos on this subject for your team. It's vision. You have a real vision, and you understand what it is, and you understand your mission to fulfill that vision.
Yeah, and so our team, all that matters is great food. All that matters is a great experience of getting there. And how do we try and make thousands of tiny little experiences and decisions to add up to a sum of a good cooking experience? Because one of the crossroads that I think we're getting to as with the kitchen is food delivery is becoming more and more massive. People are cooking less and less. I know that I'm redoing my kitchen right now. I'm not even putting in a big oven. Like, I've just decided I don't need that. And what's interesting is we're going to be at this crossroads soon where there's going to be a decision when you're building a home of, does it need a kitchen or not? Or should I add another bedroom? And it sounds crazy, but it's going to happen. And what's going to prevent that is technology and a great user experience. So either something is going to lure people back into the kitchen, or we're going to lose that room. I'm personally betting our company on not losing the room. But if we don't execute well, if we don't build great products that lure people back into the kitchen, then we're going to lose the room.
And do you feel like a food ordering app for takeout is more competition than Tovala, for instance?
100%. 100%.
What are you seeing that makes you afraid?
People that don't cook anymore. Seriously, like if cooking's not easy, right? I have 2 young kids. We have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And if we didn't have a June oven, my kids would be eating takeout probably 3-4 times a week. I don't think they've ever had it. Knock on something. Maybe we've ordered a pizza once or twice. But I feel very fortunate that I have that product in my life. But Yeah, I mean, look at what Travis is doing with cloud kitchens, betting. He's left Uber to start this company that's going to be all about food delivery and providing that food and that supply chain and allowing that to happen. Like, it's massive.
And you mentioned built-ins a second ago. Is there a June built-in in the works? Is it an idea? I find, for instance, there's a lot of stuff that ends up on a countertop that the small ovens don't really qualify for this. But if you have an induction burner on your stove, on your countertop, I always end up putting it right next to my actual stove so that I can use the vent hood to make it work. Is there much going on in terms of creating the kind of stuff you guys make and turning it into a built-in?
So you can build in a June today. We have a spec on the webpage where you can do that. We have no announcements to make today about a bigger oven or anything like that. But honestly, we did a lot of research on and went to homes and visited and learned how people cooked. And people make the super turkey maybe once a year. And again, you think about how many people are over at a house for Thanksgiving, right? It's usually 8 to maybe 15 or so, right? So that means that there's a lot of empty ovens, big ovens, not making super turkeys a day, only one for those, say, 15 people. And for us, we sized it. We wanted to be able to fit 2 whole chickens in there, a very tiny turkey you can fit in there, and being able to create one-pan dinners for cooking for 4 to 8 people. 1 cubic foot was perfect for that.
Let me just add that if you have some sharp knives, there's no question in my mind that you can spatchcock a 12-pound turkey, lay it flat, and put it in a June oven.
Sounds like someone who speaks from experience. We have about 2 minutes left. Does anyone in the audience have a question? Yes.
You mentioned this concept of push button get food. How do I make sure my asparagus doesn't taste like salmon?
So the food comes in packaging. So the first challenge is, how do I cook the salmon differently than the asparagus? The answer is today you can't. You can do some engineering tricks with packaging and with sauces, but it's pretty difficult. In an RF oven, a solid state oven, you can, because you can modify, you can have several different nodalities in the microwave field that you can control the power in each nodality. But how do you prevent one food from blending into the other? That's a packaging exercise.
I know you guys are focused on talking about how it's really great with the AI and the digital algorithm and all that kind of good stuff. But do you guys realize that the more we love about microwave, using the microwave, the more food we put it in there, it's going to get dirty. So all the process getting dirty. So do you guys ever kind of focus on cleaning this microwave or June oven? Is it way easy for users to clean those? There's a crazy step.
That's a great question. In a microwave, it's pretty darn easy. Whether the inside of the cavity is plastic or the inside of the cavity is stainless steel, you get some degreaser cleaner, brand name's fantastic, 409, and a sponge, and maybe you have a sponge with a little greenie, and I guarantee it's all going to come clean. And if you really want to do the full ring and valve job, as my wife likes to say, you take a bowl of water and you boil it for a minute and you fill it with steam. So that, I can speak for the microwave oven, and I think that's a great question because I've done quite a lot of work with other countertop ovens, and yeah, you can cook all these things in all these ovens, whether it's the most elaborate $300 oven or a $39.95 oven, but cleaning them takes a lot of work.
One of the magical things about software is we can constantly make the oven better and better. And one of the features that I thought was important was the ability to let our customers know when you have to clean your camera. Because if we can't see out of the camera, then we can't do object recognition. And so what I did is I kind of protested to my team a little because we hadn't built the feature yet and it wasn't prioritized, where I was just taking very fatty duck pieces, top shelf, broiling nonstop. Literally, I was being a pain in the butt to our machine intelligence team until the camera stopped working eventually, about 3 months later. And I kept filing bugs, and so they built the feature. And then we pushed it out on dark mode to test it amongst our customer base to see how big this problem was. It wasn't. It's crazy. Like, I was trying so hard. It took me months to get there. And we turned it on, and we were able to see what percentage of customers had this problem. And it was so small, which was really fascinating. But now we have the feature, which is great. So we tell our customers when they should wipe down. For me, I do it twice a year in the June now. And it's totally fine. And for us, we're able to educate and build cleaning apps. Like, we have a cleaning app on the oven where we coach you on the right process for how to clean your oven. And we're able to do that.
That's it. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please, for Matt Van Horn and Steve Drucker.